For the first time in years, her life was quiet, and that scared her. The quiet arrived on a Tuesday morning. I stood in the doorway of my daughter's bedroom, now empty except for dust and the faint outline where her posters had been. The bed was made too neatly, the way it looks when no one is coming back that night. Her suitcase had already left with her. The door stayed open, as if the room itself was waiting for instructions. I was 49, a mother for most of my adult life. And suddenly, I wasn't needed in the ways I had built my days around. I made coffee out of habit 2 mugs, then paused. I poured one back into the sink. The kitchen felt larger, louder in its stillness. No backpack thumping against the counter. No rush to find keys. No reminders shouted down the hallway. I told myself this was what I'd been preparing for. Raising capable kids, helping them leave. But standing there, listening to nothing, I felt something I didn't expect. Fear. For years, my calendar had been a patchwork of other people's needs. School drop-offs, practice schedules, doctor's appointments, college applications, late-night talks that began with, "Mom, can I ask you something?" I worked part-time, fitting my job into the spaces left behind. I knew where everyone needed to be and when. I knew what groceries to buy and which conversations to postpone until after dinner. My life had a rhythm that left little room for silence. So when the rhythm stopped, I didn't know where to place myself. The first week after my youngest left, I cleaned. Not because the house was messy, but because movement felt safer than stillness. I reorganized cabinets that didn't need reorganizing. I washed sheets that were already clean. I told friends I was keeping busy, which was true, but incomplete. At night, I wandered from room to room, adjusting lamps, turning lights off, then back on again. I checked my phone more often than I cared to admit, half expecting a message that would anchor me to my old role. Nothing came. The quiet settled in. People told me this was freedom. They said things like, "Now it's your time," and "You'll rediscover yourself." I nodded politely, smiled, but inside, I wondered who I was supposed to rediscover. I had been someone's mother for so long that the word "me" felt abstract, undefined, like a room I hadn't entered in years. One afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table with a stack of mail I didn't open. Sunlight moved slowly across the floor. I noticed it because there was nothing else demanding my attention. That was when I realized the quiet wasn't empty. It was just unfamiliar. The fear I felt wasn't about loss. It was about exposure. Without the noise of caretaking, I could hear myself again, and I wasn't sure I was ready for that. The first thing I did after weeks of resisting it was sign up for a ceramics class at the community center. I didn't have a grand reason. I'd once liked working with my hands. That was all. The class met on Thursday evenings. I arrived early, unsure where to stand, feeling oddly nervous in a room full of adults who seemed comfortable taking up space for themselves. The instructor handed me a lump of clay and told us to make anything we wanted. Anything. The freedom startled me. My first bowl collapsed on itself. The second leaned awkwardly to one side. I laughed, an actual laugh, not the polite one I'd perfected over years of parent-teacher meetings. No one needed me there. No one expected me to be good at this. I left that night with clay under my nails and a small, unfamiliar feeling in my chest. Relief. At home, I began to notice the ways I'd been rushing through my own life. How often I ate standing up. How rarely I finished a book. How long it had been since I'd asked myself what I wanted to do on a Saturday. The answers didn't arrive all at once. Some mornings, the quiet still scared me. Some evenings, it felt heavy. But slowly, it became a place I could sit with instead of run from. One Sunday, I drove to the grocery store and realized I could shop without checking anyone else's preferences. I bought food I liked, spices I hadn't used in years, a loaf of bread that was too crusty for my kids but perfect for me. That night, I cooked for one and ate at the table instead of over the sink. It felt indulgent. Then it felt normal. I started walking in the mornings, not for exercise, not to track steps, but because the neighborhood looked different when I moved through it without an agenda. I noticed gardens, front porches, people whose names I didn't know, even after living there for years. I wasn't reinventing myself. I was meeting myself again. The turning point came quietly. I was folding laundry my own this time when my phone rang. It was my daughter. She told me about her new class, her roommate, a professor she already liked. I listened, offered reassurance, felt the familiar tug of my old role. Then she said, "I think I've got this, Mom." And I believed her. After we hung up, I stood there holding a warm towel and realized something unexpected. I wasn't sad. I was proud and lighter. The quiet that had scared me at first began to feel like a doorway. Not an ending, an opening. I didn't have to fill it immediately. I didn't have to become a new person overnight. I just had to step through. I still miss my kids. I always will. But the space they left behind isn't empty. It's a place where I'm learning to live alongside myself again, without rushing, without apology. Some days, I still reach for my phone out of habit. Some days, the quiet feels too wide. But most days, now, it feels like possibility. For the first time in years, my life is quiet, and I'm learning that quiet isn't something to fear. It's the sound of a door opening, one I finally have the courage to walk through.